All right, ladies and gentlemen. Great to be here today. Feels like evening already. It's been a long day. What a great event. Let's start to give a big applause to Slush and all those big workers for Slush. It's been a good job so far. My name is Claes Mikko Nilsson. I work as a coordinator for Finnish Business Angels Network, which is a private, non-profit association trying to improve the position and the knowledge of business angel investing here in Finland and the whole wide world. Let's start with a little poll before we get into what we're going to discuss. How many of you are entrepreneurs? Hands up. Quite a lot. How many of you are what we consider investor? Hands up. 1, 2, 3. Quite okay. Thanks a lot. One question for the entrepreneurs. How many are you looking for investment at the moment? Quite many. So just don't let these guys run away after the panel. So let's get started. Don't get scared. What we do have today, we have a little panel discussion talking about the best practices of private high growth investing. We got an excellent panel here today. And let's start by, if you start with Heli, and if you can present yourself. And what's your role? Yeah, let's see.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hello, yes, I'm Heli Neimarka. I've started my work as a private investor, angel investor, maybe 5 years ago. And my background comes from IT and from the fashion industry. So I've been very near the consumers.
Ari?
My name is Ari Korhonen. I'm a business angel investor, 5 years already full-time angel investing into the 20 companies, also abroad, not only in Finland. And before that, I was a software entrepreneur, 20 years.
Hello, I'm Tapio Heikkilä. I've been an angel investor for 6 years after quitting a 24/7 job in a corporate environment. I have invested in 5 companies and I'm following kind of active strategy, so I'm participating quite actively to the daily life of the companies that I'm involved.
Okay, my name is Erik Wengren. I'm Swedish, but I live in London. I've worked in finance for some 20 odd years around the world. Started business angel investment 12 years ago, found it very exciting, have invested in some 25 odd companies, mostly in the UK, but also in other places in the Nordic area. Found this so exciting, so I've started a small venture capital firm together with a couple of other guys. So this is fun.
I'm Jan Åkerblom, Managing Director of FiBAN, and here because to comment on our best practices that we have developed and for our members and will be giving out here in the beginning of the year. So not an angel investor, but commenting from the network's point of view.
All right, thank you very much. So excellent skills here today present. So what we're gonna discuss now, hopefully, gentlemen, please come for closer by. They're angels, they don't bite. Might take some part of your company, but that's a positive thing. Anyway, we're going to talk about business angels and private high growth investors because we had a fall meeting yesterday with Anssi Vanjoki, and he started his presentation by, I hate the word business angel. But still, we can't do anything about the term. It's international. Business angel words come from Broadway, United States, from the 1920s, when big old gentlemen wanted to have their close-by lovers or whatever to present on a Broadway stage. So these guys put some money in some kind of theoretical play, and that way they got their lover on the scene. So that's the term business angel. A little short presentation of the background. But further ado, let's get on with the topics. Hopefully you can just shout from the audience if you got any special. This panel is for you guys to share some best practices of these experienced panelists. Let's go in chronological order, and we'll talk about screening. So let's talk about Ari. Tapio, you have the microphone. When you go around here in Slush, how do you evaluate, how do you screen the companies you're interested in? What do you consider important?
Okay, well, luckily enough, the market is now on our side, so the practice And the reality is that there are lots of companies, very great and good companies looking for financing, and you can actually choose. So that's the situation. And in practice, you have to, as an investor, develop criteria for yourself. And I'm sure everybody has his own criteria. But what I'm personally always looking is the idea first. I need to get into the basic idea, what it is, how it works, what is the problem that it's going to solve, and is it scalable? These kind of very basic questions. And then, of course, the people, is this team, the team that I would like to work with, is this leader, the leader that will take this idea through the rock if that's needed, and so on. So I get to the basics.
Very good. Ari, would you like to comment?
Okay, I think 3 main criteria what I have in screening is the team is the first. So what kind of team there is, the founders and maybe other first hires, can they execute a growth company or not? That's more important than the business idea for me. And then also that the market is either big or either rapidly growing. And then third one is that the business model is scalable.
For me, I see the screening is it's the outcome of your strategic thinking. So how well can you present your idea? So is the idea such that both of you and we as an investor can trust on it? That's very important. And so that in the screening situation, everything has to be well presented. The other thing is that, which nowadays I see a lot in startups scene, is that this is some kind of reality program or TV program, and this is not what it is. So there on the background, there has to be a company which has the possibility to grow, so that there are, as mentioned, good team and good business plan and also managerial capabilities to grow. And so startups are not competing within each other only in the situation when they are looking for the money. They are, in a way, building the new business, and I wish that in the screening situation I can evaluate the company so that does this company have the long-term growth plan.
Okay, very good. So what you're saying that, keep in mind, the Dragon's Den TV format doesn't represent the real life. You're not sitting on the leather couch and just evaluating yes or no and out. That's not the truth. Okay, good. What about in Sweden? Do you sit in leather couches and evaluate companies?
I'm sure a lot of leather couches there. What I look at is really, does this company really solve a problem? That's really important. But the absolute key is the management. Can the management team deliver? Can they deliver what they say they will deliver? Most businesses come up with a business plan and a business model. It might not work out that way, but is the management good enough to actually find a new business model, a new way forward? That's very, very important. The go-to-market plan is absolutely essential. If the company has a good technology, does not mean that it will succeed. It must find a way out in the marketplace. And if they haven't thought about it, they're not going to be successful. And that's a very important issue.
Okay, just a quick statistics. How many of you last year, so far this year, how many of you have looked through over 50 companies already? How many of you? How many of you have looked over 100 companies? How many of 150 companies already this year? Okay, you don't count. What about over 200? 300? Shit. 400? Okay, just say how many?
Over 500.
Okay, that's good. And how many received investment so far?
3.
Ouch. All right. Just so far, have you seen, it's been quite a chaos, a positive one, a lot of energy here in Slush. Have you seen anything exciting so far, something new? Ari, you got the microphone?
I just came, so I saw only a rush on the corridor.
So there's a good potential if someone catches you now from the audience, so you'll make a first impression. Good. Okay. Tapio, you've been here a little bit longer. Have you had the time to see any interesting companies?
Yeah, quite a few. So
Okay.
this is a good event, really.
So what happens next? You see something interesting. What happens next?
Well, the process goes that first when you get excited, you have to get excited with a company, but then you have to go through the discussions with the guys. And in that discussion, one very, very important thing is the matching of the motivational factors on both sides. Because we angels, we of course invest money, but also we have other motivations to do this job, and those of course are very different depending on who you're talking about. And in my case, for instance, I always look for a company where I can contribute something, and I want to work with a company who welcomes my contribution and thinks it has a value, and the management thinks that if we discuss, we can together create something better. And those motivations have to match, otherwise it won't work.
Excellent. So the same, you evaluate the company, so the company also should evaluate you as an investor, so the match
Yes,
really
it's both
works.
ways always.
Yeah. It's a tricky part. Let's say, have you received any no so far? How does it...
Not here yet.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Okay. Would the audience have some questions what considers getting in contact with an angel or screening? Any hands up so far? Okay, let's continue to the fun part, the valuation. That's always the tricky part. There's both sides of the tables with the two different point of views, but let's give it over to the experienced angels. Erik, what would you say about the valuation?
I mean, valuation, there are many issues in the valuation. It's very important for the investor to make sure that he or she would make money down the line. And therefore the valuation needs to be right. If the valuation is too high initially, and the company is slow in development, which happens every time, and then you need a next round of valuation or next funding. If you've valued your company too highly initially, you will have a problem with your second round, just a big problem. Another issue is that all business angels worth their salt need to make sure that there is enough shares available for the founders and the key people in the company to make it interesting for them. And that means that you can't value a company too low either. So you need to find a golden balance. People like, especially Ari and myself, who work very closely together, we see a lot of companies, and we know roughly what valuation works for an investor. We know roughly what a valuation would work for a founder, it's very important to find the right level. And it's not the first round that is key. It is the second round, the third, the fourth, the fifth round. And if you get it wrong to start off with, you have a major problem all the way through. So it's important to understand that the business angels are not there to try to get the valuation down just to be horrible to you as a founder. It is to help you all the way through.
That's quite correct. Yeah, that's the important part, that there's just no one investment, that's just the first one, and how many of these rounds there are going to be, so they definitely calculate that within the investment process.
I have the same opinion than Erik, that if you start with a too high valuation, they might come around, you need to come down in the valuation, and that's ruining the story of the startup totally, if you need to do this kind of round where the valuation is lower than earlier. And then it's really hard to come back.
Okay. Question? Yeah.
And what comes to the valuation, it's money, but then there are quality things. So that with the valuation, to get the right angels or investors inside the company, it can be for the startup much more valuable with the networks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say that the angel investing is more investing the knowledge and networks, giving the networks to the benefit of the entrepreneur than investing the money. I think that's even more valuable.
Definitely. Yeah, and especially there are all the statistics and the benefits of a business angel, especially with the knowledge and networks. But just technically, let's say I have a company and I somehow, what's the value? How much is it worth? And I'll have to make a deal. And it's this classic 1 million. I got 3 slides and it's worth 1 million euros. So, and you say it's worth 100,000. So do we discuss after that, or how does it work? Erik, do you have a comment there?
The way it works is that if the companies put together some good financial spreadsheets, which look credible, that they can achieve the following over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I would then take that spreadsheet, I will rip it to pieces, and I will look at it, how credible is this? And then I rebuild the balance sheet or the spreadsheets, and I mainly look at cash flow. And I look at those numbers, and I said, fine, how much value, what can a company be valued at in 3 years' time and 5 years' time, provided they deliver these kind of numbers? That's the starting point for evaluation, as far as I'm concerned. Keeping in mind, I'm a finance guy, right?
Any additional comments, Jan?
Of course, usually the valuation from the entrepreneur side is higher, and from the investor side is a little bit lower, and maybe it would be hard to come together from 100,000 and 1 million. It needs to be realistic, it needs to be relatively close, otherwise the discussions will take too long, it will be a big burden, and you can't concentrate on the other issues. So only by starting from a realistic point of view you can concentrate on the rest.
Of course, you can postpone the discussion also by doing some techniques like option loan and based convertible loan based on the success of the company. So the valuation point comes later, and also this kind of ratchet, that if it's certain things are not succeeded, certain targets are not hit, then the investors get more shares without any price.
I would emphasize that both sides have to be reasonable at this point, because if you get greedy, it won't work anyway, so you lose everything.
Exactly. All right. Now this is always the topic that is discussed. What about the audience? You have any questions when it comes to valuation, any point of view? Does someone has a company worth 1 million euros? Would like to pitch that later on? Not yet. Okay. Okay, you have a question.
How do you look at a time perspective? How far in the future do you look at
The question was, how long in the future do you look at the investment? So how long is the? Yeah.
You just need to get a feel for how big the company can be down the line. But I usually, very bad joke, but I usually joke that every company, I've invested in about 25 companies, about 32 of those 25 companies have missed their sales targets most of the time. So you need to look down the line, how big could a company be? If they hit $5 million or $7 million, that's not the point. It is really how big could it be in reality.
Excellent. Thanks for the question. Ari, you want to?
I think then the short-term numbers, you need to have sort of 2 years or 18 months to look the cash flow issue.
Yeah.
For myself, the time span is actually not so important, because I mainly focus on the productivity issues, at what is the cost of the services that you deliver, how profitable this is, and how scalable this is. These kind of issues are far more interesting to me.
Excellent. Yeah, we go quite a lot in the techniques, and that's always a fun part. How are you going to do the investment? We're going to have another discussion tomorrow, 11:15. That's more about the investment tools. So feel free to join tomorrow as well. We'll discuss more and closely about that. All right. Well, I'll take a little bridge here. Ari, you once said that to be able to invest in a company, you have to be able to spend 2 hours every day in an elevator stuck with the entrepreneur for the rest of your life, or at least during the investments. So is that still true?
Yes, it's called in elevator test. That because when you invest a company, then that's when the marriage starts. So before that, it's only like a dating, and then the marriage starts, and you really need to have a good chemistry with the investor, and investor must have a good chemistry with the entrepreneur and trust that you really can work every day together in a closed room and work together and tackle the obstacles which evidently they come on the road nearly every day. So you really need to have a good chemistry. So I wouldn't like to invest to companies or to entrepreneurs I feel I cannot deal with, or they cannot deal with me. So it's two-way. Okay. You should choose that kind of investor you can deal with. So
if you don't see Ari left of the slush, he's probably stuck with some interesting company in a close-by elevator. Well, hopefully we'll have you around for that. Okay, well, we'll go further on to the investor roles. And Heli, you made quite a few investments. So what kind of roles do you have, and how do you increase the company value from your point of view?
Of course, there are different roles in the different periods. So maybe in the when the company gets the first investment, so that period needs quite a nearby hand touch or this kind of practical work. But then later on, the investor's point is all the time to get the organization taking the whole responsibility of the operational growth. Also, to build the management team, to strengthen all the capabilities. This is where investor can give some ideas. The investor can give the networks in the way to open doors or give ideas for the marketing things. But investor is not the operative person, and investor is not the salesman. So all these managerial skills have to be developed to the company on the side of the investor.
You agree?
Yeah. I think in the start it can be like a coach and mentor and this kind of relationship. When the company grows bigger, then it's more like a board member or advisor. But Heli is totally right that the expectation from the company side or entrepreneur side should be that it's a sort of mentor, coach, or board member.
But we have to remember that there are different kinds of angels. Of course, I mentioned that I'm an active angel, active type of angel, which means that I'm available as a kind of coach or mentor or advisor to the company as needed. But there are angels that are just financial investors. They invest into the company and then they don't participate in anything. They just hope to get return one day and everything between.
What about in Sweden? Any special roles?
No, I think it's important that I think for most entrepreneurs that look for money, don't only look for money, look for a skill set, look for something additional. And if that is business development help or corporate development help, or if you realize that you need some legal help or you need whatever it may be, but make sure you get some smart money if you can. Someone who brings a different kind of skill set which is lacking in the company or that would add to the company. I think that's very important. And each and every company and each and every situation is unique, of course.
Excellent. You want to share, Jan, some of your what's your roles in your investment?
No,
targets?
maybe just this point that this is actually what differs a business angel from some other pension fund or other investor that just puts the money. A business angel is hands-on, and a business angel always brings something else besides the money, and is more or less active, but we really like to consider this smart money, which is very important for the entrepreneur.
And also there are angels who invest their work. They're called sweat investors or angels. And you shouldn't forget those as entrepreneurs, because if you find a guy that is willing to work in exchange for ownership in the company, that can be a really valuable deal for you.
All right. Oh, Ari.
We are talking about investor, but in most of the cases it's investors. So it's a syndication. People, angel investors, they invest together. I never invest alone. That's the main rule. But there can be 2, 3, 4, 8 investors in the same deal and same financing round what you are doing, and then you need to look also that how these investors how their competencies not compete, but what kind of competencies they have and how are they complementing, and also who will be the active ones and who will be not so active ones.
But Ari, isn't that quite a spaghetti? You got a lot of private investors trying to make on a decision. Is that really good?
Yeah, it's not needed to be a spaghetti. It can be structured so that there's only one angel investor is speaking and so on with the shareholders agreement.
Okay, you had good experience on this?
Yeah,
Excellent.
surely. There's always, if there's 8 people knows more than one person. Yeah.
Excellent. Let's have a little poll again. How many of you have ever received some kind of a private investment? Hands up. Mothers and fathers not calculated in. Okay, how many of you had more than 1 or 2 angels involved? 1, 2. That's quite interesting, because it's and a third one. Excellent. By about 100, there are three who had a syndicate. That's probably because it's supposed to divide risk, but probably the image is a bit, is it a spaghetti or not? So there's a lot of discussion to be done. But definitely there are a lot of benefits on that part of increasing the knowledge. Is there any questions so far before we go into the last part? Okay. Feeling free? We have a few more minutes. It's about the main reason why investor is joining the company. Exit. Would you agree? Is exit the main reason for angel to join a potential investment target? Erik?
Not the main reason, because it's fun to participate and help to grow a company. But in the end, if you put some money in, you would like to have some money back at some stage. That would be quite useful.
Probably.
Yes, as Erik said, the angel always has other motivations as the money, but the money is still maybe the most important single motivation factor to do this, because having a financial interest and a possibility to win really creates the excitement and makes the game serious. So exit is always the target. And as we all know, only one startup out of 10 really becomes a real success. And we have to keep this in mind and do so that you, as a startup entrepreneurs, you start only those companies that are one of those 10. And we as investors, we only invest in those companies which are those ones of the 10.
So we as an investors, we don't have to invest. So this is our choice in a way, that we invest to the growth companies. The reason why we invest, it is of course that the best possible company to grow is that which pays a lot of dividends and maybe makes an IPO and becomes a global company. And then but this is a chance of 1 million maybe, maybe thousands.
Yeah.
But I want to also point that this is the risk game. We have started this private investor career for us, so that we can, in a way, we can stand the risk, and we have we try to find the leverage which covers those companies which hasn't been successful, so that there in our portfolio there are companies which are much more successful than the others. Sometimes I've said that this is like a bungee jump every morning, because I don't know what happens there around in the world, which also affects to these startups.
All right. Yeah, that's what Tapio mentioned. It's quite a heavy statistics that half of all investments made, they fail. They actually don't succeed at all. And every 10th, they hopefully will make that kind of income that covers all the losses made. Jan, you had some question there as well.
Yeah, actually, we have an angel who had made a lot of investments, and then he got the question that, well, have you made any exits? And he answered that, yes, 2.5. And they were like, what do you mean? How can it be 2.5? When two went to bankruptcy and one is in debt restructuring.
Yeah. Well, let's not stop there. Feels a bit too negatively, but let's. There is hope. How many of you made an exit? Hands up. Okay, 2 out of 5. That's quite okay. So we're still working hard on the rest one. Hopefully, that's why FiBAN is also trying to work on this half. We're increasing the amount of angels. We're trying to make them better so that you entrepreneurs will also have better investors. If you like to hear more about us, come and chat. Come and grab some of the angels. Find more about us, FiBAN.org, or if you want to submit a business investment proposal, it's submit. FiBAN.org/submit. It's for free, and we'll have over almost 250 investors just eager to make a high growth investment. So please be active. Come and grab these guys after the panel, and I think we'll give applause to the best practices had so far. Thank you. Okay, kiitos.